All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are at the webinar, Staying Compliant Investing in Crypto in SMSF. So if you were thinking you're at some other webinar, you're in the wrong place. But basically, we are going to talk about crypto, we are going to talk about SMSF, and we are going to talk about compliance. Hopefully, it's not too technical, or I'll try to make it not too technical, not too boring. But all the questions you can ask at the end of the webinar after I finish my presentation, and Danny will finish his presentation as well. Let me just admit latecomers. So today you have two presenters. You have myself, Natalia Clark, and you have Danny, who is the head of tax in Koinly. I'll introduce us and talk about ourselves a little bit later on as well. So I want to begin with disclaimer that information provided in this webinar is a general information only. I didn't consider your personal circumstances, objectives, and needs. All right. Some housekeeping rules. All participants are automatically muted until we open for questions. Also, send your questions in the comments in the chat, so you can or you can unmute yourself after the presentation. And this webinar will be recorded and shared after the webinar. So maybe in a couple of days, on Monday or Tuesday, we will share this webinar for everyone who is registered. If you're not registered, you're not going to receive this presentation. So a little bit about the presenters. Myself, I'm a director of Easy Super, Natalia Clark. I've been dealing with SMSF for the last 20 years, so since I arrived to Australia and ended up in superannuation space by accident, but I definitely loved it. In the first year, I loved it straight away, and I decided to specialize in SMSFs only. I used to work for the second-tier company called William Buck, became a manager at William Buck, and I also worked for the big administrator, SMSF administrator. We used to manage 6,000 SMSFs, and 10 years ago, I went on my own and opened my own business. So we offer the services for SMSFs, such as SMSF compliance, SMSF audit, and SMSF advice as well. So I have a master's degree in accounting. I'm CPA qualified, and also as SMSF specialist with CPA. I am ASIC registered auditor, and also I have a limited authorized representative of financial licensee, which is the Merit Wealth. I'm also a tax agent, of course. So, but we do SMSFs only, so we basically know everything about SMSFs. My guest today, and thank you very much, Danny, for joining us, is Danny Toller. He's the head of tax at Koinly. Danny has very extensive experience with crypto tax. He's a crypto enthusiast himself, and he's got experience as a chartered accountant across Australia and Europe. And also he talks to ETO on crypto issues, and he's got, like I said, he's top expert in crypto and tax in Australia. Thank you very much, Danny, and Danny will be presenting after my presentation. Danny is the head of Koinly, head of tax at Koinly. At Easy Super, again, our mission is to empower people to take control of their financial future and retirement through self-managed superannuation funds. So what we do SMSF establishment, SMSF annual compliance, administration, audit, advice, and cryptocurrency and property in SMSF. In the last 2 or 3 years, we started having a lot of clients investing in cryptocurrency with their superannuation. It's the biggest growing asset in self-managed superannuation fund space, and it's been confirmed by ATO as well. The statistics show that crypto assets doubled in the last 2 years in SMSF. So it's going to grow, and it's a lot of gray areas, which is why we are having this webinar. So what we will cover today at this webinar, we will cover what to do and what not to do when you invest your crypto in SMSF. We will cover how to pass SMSF audit, tips and tricks for the smart auditor, for SMSF auditor, how to avoid ATO audit, and how to avoid paying tens of thousands of dollars in ATO administrative penalties and fines. So it's all about compliance today. So what we are not going to cover today, we are not going to cover where to invest your hard-earned superannuation. We are not going to provide you with advice, which coins are good coins, which coins are bad coins. And we are not also covering the taxation of cryptocurrency in a self-managed superannuation fund. If you are interested in taxation topic, send us email. And we had a webinar a few weeks ago where we talked extensively about tax and crypto in the SMSF. So if you're interested about taxation again, send us email, and we will give you access to another webinar on tax topic. So important. What's important to understand? Crypto in the SMSF rules of the game. There are four important. Pillars to this topic. First, trust deed. Second, investment strategy. Third, CIS Act, CIS regulations, and SMSF audit. Just received the chat, a message in the chat that sound. How does it sound for you? How does it sound for everyone?
Sound is good, I think, for me.
That's good. All right, that's good. Look, if your volume is too low, maybe you watch recording afterwards, or if you didn't understand anything, you can always ask me questions later on, or if you didn't understand my accent, my Russian accent, so you can ask me questions later on as well. I will not get offended. Okay, so we are talking about four important pillars: trust deed, investment strategy, regulations, CIS Act and CIS regulations and other regulations, and SMSF audit. Trust deed. When investing your superannuation with the self-managed superannuation fund in crypto, you have to review your trust deed. If you have old trust deed or the trust deed which was tailored for yourself, for your specific investments, say somehow in the past, you have to review the trust deed does not prohibit investing in a cryptocurrency. It doesn't have to allow this particular investment because most trust deeds, they're quite general. They usually have this paragraph saying that SMSF is allowed to invest in any assets which are allowed under CIS Act. So what it means if law will change, the trust deed will allow it as well automatically. However, you have to review your trust deed to make sure there is not some specific prohibition to invest in cryptocurrency. Very important. The second one, regulation 4.09, trustee must formulate, regularly review, and give effect to investment strategy. Investment strategy is very important, especially it's on ATO radar in the last couple of years. In terms of the investment strategy, it is a responsibility of the trustee for the SMSF. Important to remember diversification and risk. In your investment strategy, when you decide to invest superannuation in crypto, you need to justify and explain why you think such a risky investment, which we all agree that cryptocurrency is a risky investment, is a good idea for SMSF. Also, if you invest in a big chunk of your superannuation money, say 90%, 80%, 95% of the SMSF into the cryptocurrency, why it is good to not diversify your investments? Again, because obviously if you do not diversify, you increase the risk of losing it all. So diversification and risk, this is where your focus should be when formulating the investment strategy. CIS Act, CIS regulation, and other regulations. As the SMSF auditor, these are the sections which are most common breaches when someone like some trustee of SMSF invests in cryptocurrency. subsection 62, sole purpose test. So sole purpose test, what it says basically that superannuation is supposed to be for your retirement or for your beneficiaries when you pass away. So if you decide to invest it in risky assets, again, how do you satisfy the sole purpose test? So to keep your superannuation preserved, conservative, invested conservatively in a safe assets. This is subsection 62. Subsection 65, financial assistance. So subsection 65, financial assistance, it says that SMSF is not allowed to provide financial assistance to the members of their relatives. In the example, when someone accidentally transfers the coins from self-managed superannuation fund wallet, say some wallet where self-managed superannuation funds coins are stored, if someone by accident transfers the coins into the personal wallet, because say you have a lot of wallets, it's accidents happens, so financial assistance will be the problem. So the next thing is, sorry, let me just get a little bit back to the next subsection is subsection 67. It's borrowing. This is when the coins go the opposite way. Say by accident, again, you transfer the coins from SMSF wallet to, from a personal wallet to SMSF wallet. It will be the borrowing, and SMSFs are prohibited from borrowing. So subsection 67 will be breached. Next section is section 109. It's arm's length dealing. If, for example, you decide to buy the coins, SMSF decides to buy coins from the trustee, it's prohibited. You cannot buy, SMSF cannot buy coins from the trustee. However, if you don't know the rules and do this transaction, then the arm's length dealing and section 109 will be in breach. Next, regulation 4.09a, assets must be kept separately. This is the biggest, I think, breach which occurs in case of SMSF and crypto investments. So what it means the assets of SMSF, they must be kept separately. People very often, what we see, people mix up SMSF coins and personal coins because it's in one wallet, because again, they have too many wallets, they have too many exchanges, and accidents happen. Once it happens, that's it. It's a breach of 4.09a. Also, the name of on the exchanges. If you cannot open the exchange under SMSF name and open it under your own name, how do you prove the ownership? So again, the auditor might contravene the section regulation 4.09a. The next one is regulation 8.02b. Assets must be valued at market value. Again, if you invest in some small coins or tokens or NFTs, very often there is no such as a trading market value. So it means you cannot value, say you have some NFT coin, how much this NFT coin, non-tangible token, we don't know how much it is. You need to obtain the independent valuation, which is almost impossible, as you know, for NFT, unless your NFT is worth millions of dollars, or unless it's traded on exchange. But it's a difference. So, okay, penalties. If you breach any of these sections of CIS Act, there are penalties, again, potentially, but we've seen more and more administrative penalties in the last 6 months. So 275 from 1st of January 2023, 275 per unit per trustee. Please note it's per trustee. What it means if you have SMSF with individual trustees, how many trustees? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you can have up to 6. It will be per trustee. If you have corporate trustee, obviously it's only one corporate trustee. But example, subsection 65, 60 penalty units, which is a borrowing. Say if you transfer coins by accident from one wallet to another, from personal to SMSF and vice versa. Every time you do such a transfer, potentially 16,500 penalty. So again, it's a potential. We try to keep you out of it. So, but nevertheless, this is what you have to be aware. So how to make it right? So what do you do in order to be compliant, stay compliant, and make a lot of money for your retirement? So you have to open account wallet on the SMSF name. When we talk about SMSF name, because SMSF, it's a pure Australian type of investment vehicle, Australian entity. If the exchange is based overseas, say in America, in Singapore, most likely we would not have this option. You cannot open account on the SMSF name. You'll be only able to open account on the personal name. Once you open account on the personal name, again, there is a risk that it will be a breach, and because you don't keep your coins separately, because it has to be a clear distinction of ownership. Therefore, we recommend, but again, it's like pure tax advice, strategic advice. We recommend to open an account on the SMSF name and in Australian exchanges, because most Australian-based exchanges, they will have this option, SMSF name. If you open in some exchange overseas, declaration of trust or acknowledgement of trust will be definitely needed by the auditor, will be required. So, sorry, again, skip this one. All right, second thing. Again, it's not a financial advice. We recommend to implement a conservative strategy, buy and hold, which means you think about sole purpose test again, so to provide the benefits for your retirement, not for risky investments. So buy and hold is the best strategy for the superannuation. Outside of superannuation, do whatever you want. Exotic coins, exotic investments, that's fine. In superannuation, try to keep it simple. We recommend reducing the number of accounts, exchanges, and wallets. Again, statistically, average number of wallets is 8. So per person, per crypto investor. So you don't need 8 wallets, especially when we're talking about, again, SMSF. So with all the complexity of proving to the auditor and all the complexity of legislation, which I'll talk a little bit later on as well. And keep the records. This is one of the most important, keep the records. Danny will talk about the records as well. So this is where Koinly comes to equation, and businesses like Koinly and help us, accountants and the auditors. However, keep the records is important. So in terms of keeping the records, how to make the auditor happy? Can you see I crossed it happy and I said happier, because no auditor, which I know of, is happy when they see crypto in SMSF. It's complex, it's not logical, and it's a lot of work. And most of the auditors were quite conservative. And also, if you think about it, the funny, whenever I go to any auditors, SMSF auditors conference, I'm like the youngest one there, because the most people would be over 50, 55. So people quite conservative. So, and this is new technologies, quite techy, complicated, and a lot of gray areas, even in terms of the taxation and in terms of plenty of legal issues with cryptocurrencies. So how to make the auditor happier? Okay, open account under SMSF name in Australian exchange, or if you open account not in Australian exchange and not under SMSF name, obviously you need a declaration of trust or acknowledgement of trust. Your accountant should be able to help you with this declaration. Download all the reports available from the exchanges and wallets, such as year-end reports. Not all exchanges provide the year-end reports, at least the reports which the auditor would accept, showing the transactions, showing the capital gain, loss, transactions, balances at the end of the period. So, but if the exchange offers year-end report, this is very, very handy for your accountant and for the auditor. CSV transaction report. So any CSV transactions reports for the period, which is from 1st of July, of whichever year, like you're preparing your tax returns for, till the 30th of June, the following year. So any CSV transaction reports, the reports showing the balance at 30th of June, again, say 2022, we're doing 2022 financial year at the moment. If you can download it from your exchange, this would be the proof for the auditor. Also, if, for example, you have the cold wallet, what I recommend to all my clients, and I send usually email 2 weeks before 30th of June and 30th of June, log in into your SMSF wallet or exchange. Say if exchange doesn't offer report showing the balances at 30th of June, so log into your wallet exchange and take a screenshot of the balances at 30th of June with showing the date. On the bottom right corner of your computer, it shows the date. So do screenshot or do the picture on your phone. So basically, this is how we try to keep the records for the auditor. Also, again, the businesses such as Koinly, Danny will speak about it later on, definitely could provide the proof for the auditor. Not 100%. But we'll talk about it later, but definitely helps to complete the financials. It's a help for the tax agent, for your accountant, and also for the auditor. So, right. So what not to do in the SMSF then having cryptocurrency? Open the account exchange wallet under individual's name. Again, I said if you do so, you will need to have a declaration of trust. Mix the personal coins and SMSF coins, very, very, very common mistake. Contribute the personal coins to SMSF or buy the coins from yourself. This is again the mistake that people think they can in specie transfer the coins into SMSF. You can in specie transfer the share into SMSF, but not the cryptocurrency. So have the multiple wallets exchanges, again, because of complexity for the accountant and the auditor. Make a lot of trading, like bot trading, and have exotic coins or tokens or transactions. So it's such a changing environment, almost like every week we come across something new in crypto space with our clients, and we also like, it's always something. It's liquid pools, it's a sacrifice, it's a donation. So it's changing so rapidly. Try before jumping into something risky and unknown with SMSF, with superannuation money. Try to do it, think about it, think about sole purpose test, and do it outside of SMSF. This is my advice as your accountant. Again, not financial advice. Okay, real life studies. Let's have a look at our clients. Like I said, we've had a lot of clients with crypto. We've seen it, not seen it all because every day is something new, but we've seen a lot of typical mistakes which people make, and here you might recognize yourself. So, but anyway, Let's see what people do. Meet Daniel, SMSF trustee and crypto enthusiast. Daniel loves crypto, so he decided to invest his superannuation and in self-managed superannuation fund into crypto. He's done multiple transactions, swaps, trades, airdrops, forks, sacrifices. The other thing you have to be aware, when you do transactions, say you swap one coin to another, you think you've done one transaction, but in fact, it could be 20 transactions. So why? Because they match, the exchange matches buyer and seller. So if you want to buy 10 Bitcoins, and there are 100 sellers, so it means you'll have which sell, every sells, like only 1/10 of Bitcoin. So it means you'll have 100 lines of transactions. Every line will have fees. Everything has to be processed manually by the accountant. Every such a line of transaction will have to be potentially proved to the auditor. So it's a lot of headache. So multiple transactions, this is what we see. People underestimate how many trades they've done because, like I said, one swap or trade could end up with tens or even hundreds transactions. Multiple cold and hot wallets. People explain to me, because with this wallet I can do such and such, and with that wallet I can do such and such. Again, I understand it all. How about you do it outside of superannuation and try to keep it simple by trying to make with staking or say, for example, you open account for the sake of cheaper rate, trying to make a couple of bucks, you end up, like in trouble. So mixing personal and SMSF coins. This is what happened to Daniel, because he was so excited about crypto, did all the transactions, multiple wallets. Again, like because of different reasons, saving on fees, staking opportunities, etc., etc. So as a result, multiple auditors' contraventions of Part A and Part B of audit report. Part B is about contravention of the Seized Act, and Part A is when auditor cannot prove the existence of these coins. For example, in the financials, the accountant is showing 10 Bitcoins, but there are multiple wallets under individual names, and the auditor cannot be sure that at 30th of June, all these coins show, which accountant showed in the report, they really existed. Also, please don't forget what the evidence of the existence. Your spreadsheet, it's not the evidence of existence. Even CSV file, technically, it's not the evidence of existence because I can edit CSV file. So I need the third-party evidence, such as the report, say, from the exchange, or screenshot of blockchain showing that these 5 Bitcoins are sitting there. So when auditor is not sure if these coins exist, they just contravene Part A, are not sure that these financials are correct. Okay, he ended up with high accounting and high audit fees, of course, because it's a lot of work for us accountants to do, and for us auditors to do as well. Problems with ATO, of course, because auditor has to report the contraventions to ATO. It's a red flag. Every contravention, it's a red flag for ATO, headache and unhappiness. So Daniel ended up with such a result because, again, he didn't know the rules of the game. Let's meet Tom. Tom is a SMSF trustee and crypto enthusiast. Tom decided to be smarter. He engaged some company, paid big money for bot trading. This is a real report for Tom. He had 293,325 transactions. So you can imagine, right? The number of transactions, and he ended up with 52,000 capital loss. So all this bot trading, almost 300,000 transactions, ended up with capital loss. But on top of it, high accounting and audit fees. So you can imagine, you know, like technically I have to process all these transactions manually or find some other solution how to process them. Because software, most common software which accountants use for SMSFs are Class and BGL 360. Accounting software cannot handle crypto transactions at the moment. So if you have, say, centralized exchanges, Australian-based, yes, you can download the files, CSV files, and reports into the software, but anything outside of that, a lot of manual work involved, including every transaction has to be recorded in Australian dollars. When you think about crypto, very often it's not in Australian dollars, it's in US or in the coin currency sort of. Anyway, so this client ended up with high accounting audit fees, potential multiple auditors contraventions of Part A and Part B of audit report, problems with ATO, headache, and unhappiness. Again, was trying to make few bucks, ended up with loss. Meet Andrew, SMSF trustee and crypto enthusiast. Andrew didn't know about crypto rules in SMSF. He didn't know that he could not contribute his own coins in SMSF. He thought that because you can in specie transfer shares, you can do the same with crypto. What's the difference, right? There is a difference. He contributed coins into SMSF. Couple years went by. He did a trading, of course, with these coins. Then he decided to do his tax return. He came to us, and this is where he found out that he actually could not contribute the coins into SMSF. So it means 2 years ago, he did the wrong thing. The SMSF could not accept this contribution, which already been traded to the other coins, etc., etc. So again, result, multiple auditor contraventions of Part A and Part B of audit report, high accounting and audit fees, problems with ATO, headache, and unhappiness. So now you can see why before I was so conservatively saying invest conservatively. All right, so why all these issues occurred and problems? Because Daniel, Tom, and Andrew did not have a specialist advisor guiding them. Most of clients who come to us, for some reason, they didn't look for any advisor. They didn't ask for advice. They just did all these investments on their own risk and ended up, you know, with the problems. And I can fix your problems, but I would prefer you not to make these errors. So if you recognize yourself, at least, you know, be happy you are not the only one who's made mistakes. Okay, so how is it Super can help you? So we can prepare complex crypto transactions, investments in SMSF financials and tax return. We can negotiate with the auditor, discuss and explain to the auditor what the transactions were, how, you know, like why you had so many wallet exchanges and why you've done DeFi and how you've done it. So we also help with auditor contraventions. We help to rectify it. We negotiate with ATO. Again, ATO in the last 6 months disqualified about 400 trustees. They started doing it. I've never seen it before in my 20 years of my career. It's very rare they disqualify trustees. Now they started doing it for contraventions. And we help you with non-compliance if, for example, you become non-compliant. This is the worst case scenario, hopefully not. So why us? Again, we have 20 years of experience in SMSF. We specialize, we do have a lot of clients with crypto, and you have access to our SMSF experts. What it means you can call me almost like any time during the work hours. So it's not something where because I know the providers, cheaper providers out there where you upload everything online and you can't call anyone, so they can't solve your problem. So what people say about us, again, you can do it your own research, www.smsf consulting.com.au. So, and only today we have a special discount again. So something after such a doom and gloom presentation, something nice to have. It's a 500 discount on accounting fees or SMSF establishment fees or free SMSF audit, but only for the next 2 months we have this discount. So if you mention this webinar, so you are attendee, we give you this discount, $500, not a bad discount for 1 hour of just listening my information, I guess. So so all the questions you can ask at the end of the presentation. I will answer any questions which I can answer within the, the scope of this webinar. And I'm so excited to introduce my next speaker, guest speaker, Danny, head of tax at Koinly. Danny is going to talk about how Koinly can help you guys with record keeping. We do use Koinly. We recommend Koinly to our clients as well, and it helps us a lot. So it helps as an accountant to have the reports which we can use and upload to our software. In terms of the auditor, there's still work in progress in terms of the auditor proof of these reports and accepting of these reports. I have to again, advise you with any software where you can log in and edit it or alter it, the auditors will not 100% accept it. What it means that once it's not editable, then it will be audit proof. But for the accountants, Koinly is priceless, to be honest. So in the last 6 months, they improved so much. But anyway, so let's hear from Danny.
Thanks, Natalia.
Find out how Koinly can help all of us and reduce the risk and accounting fees, I guess.
Thanks, Natalia. That's great. So I'll jump straight into it, and we can talk a little bit about Koinly as well and kind of the tool, and I will jump into the software and how it can help. So just on the next slide, I think we got a little bit around record keeping. And I want to talk a little bit about this because SMSFs are one of the most regulated industries in Australia. And since I joined Koinly, I'm seeing an increase in inquiries and interest around crypto and SMSFs. We're seeing it get a lot more coverage in media. We're seeing the ATO talk about it in keynote presentations. We're seeing them increase guidance specifically around crypto. But also we're seeing the number of crypto holdings in SMSFs increase. And we can actually track that as the ATO release holding percentages across various assets, as some of us might know. This is, I think, released quarterly. So yeah, worth kind of seeing, but definitely crypto is in the rise in SMSFs. Now, with that comes a lot of challenges. And I think it's really important for us to be aware of what these challenges are. But I think first and foremost, it's clear that more and more people are holding crypto in SMSFs. If you are an accountant dealing with SMSFs, it's no longer a case that you can just avoid crypto. Your clients will come to you and they will have crypto. So being aware of it and understanding the tools available to you to help deal with crypto as part of SMSFs or even more broadly in accounting practices is going to become more and more important. I think aside from the basic records you have to keep with crypto, and this is probably not SMSF specific, but very much still applicable, it's important to understand crypto is generally a separate CGT asset when you're talking about tokens, coins, NFTs. Even I know NFTs and SMSFs aren't really kind of that prevalent at the moment because of market value issues. But every single coin or token is a separate CGT asset for record keeping purposes from the ATO's perspective as well. So with that, you need to keep receipts when you buy crypto. When you transfer crypto to crypto, that would be a disposal. So if you have a Bitcoin and you want to purchase Ethereum with that Bitcoin and you transfer it, that's then a disposal of Bitcoin. You need to work out your cost basis when you acquired that Bitcoin, what your proceeds are on sale and any gain or loss. At that point, you need to work out whether you've held it for more than 12 months. And then you also need to record cost basis of your ETH that you've purchased. So there's quite a lot going on, even though there might just be one simple coin-to-coin transaction from the point of view of a user or a crypto holder. Probably also worth noting that the ease at which you can trade and transact in crypto is very, very kind of seamless now with crypto exchanges. So records of dates that you acquire crypto is important. I think this is one that gets missed quite a bit, but is very important probably for audit purposes, is kind of records of what transactions are for. I think there are spaces in Koinly when you do track your trades where you can actually document, gift to family or friends, or purchase of any goods and stuff. So you can actually record those notes in there. Something that I don't see enough, but I think that's really important to be able to demonstrate a good audit trail. Exchange records, very important. You can, in most exchanges, download CSV files at the very least of your trade history. One thing to note is generally when you close accounts, you will lose access to that. So very important to actually be downloading these files to keep records. Interestingly, I shut a bank account down yesterday and I instantly lost all my records. So, I think that just goes to show that actually downloading records really is important, because it's often quite hard to do it when you no longer have access. So so obviously recording all these points, dates, market values, sales prices, all these market values are in AUD terms as well. So you must be able to understand, what the crypto market value conversion to Australian dollars is. So with that, how can we apply some of these record keeping challenges to SMSFs? Well, firstly, and I think this is probably the biggest one, and Natalia, feel free to jump in if you see this a lot, but I think proving ownership is very, very important from an SMSF perspective. And proving ownership doesn't just mean you have access to the account. It's being able to show legally the control of those assets in the name of the SMSF to be compliant with the superannuation industry regulations. So does the trust deed allow holding crypto? Right? And by allow, is there documentation on who holds the crypto wallets? Whose control is that in? Who has access to the private keys? Who can actually go and sign transactions or execute transactions and sign them with private keys? These are all questions that we should all be asking when we're looking at SMSFs, and particularly from an audit perspective, in order to be compliant. And I think that's one of the challenges at the moment. Generally, I mentioned it, crypto needs to be stored under the name of the SMSF. And obviously, if you do blur the line between personal or business assets, that can be a very severe contravention to the regulations, the SISP regulations. So having that kind of independent trail of ownership is very, very important. How can you do that? There's multiple different ways. It often means that some exchanges you won't be able to hold a crypto SMSF. Some exchanges do actually offer specific kind of products for SMSF accounts where they will keep separate the assets. And the best way generally to do it is to hold it in a cold storage wallet, because it also keeps it safer. If you are holding crypto in an SMSF, the chances are you're going to want to hold it to produce, or you'll need to hold it to produce retirement benefits. Sole purpose test is obviously one of the most crucial rules under SMSF. So it has to be for sole purpose of retirement benefits. As such, holding it in that separate wallet is also going to be important. Being able to demonstrate that holding crypto is also, in accordance with the investment strategy is also a big one. Crypto is generally a volatile asset class. How does your investment strategy for your SMSF allow you to hold crypto, and is it actually documented? So again, very important point there. I will also touch on a little bit around some of the horror stories that we've seen. So I mentioned storage wallets. We've seen some really bad scenarios with exchanges that have collapsed and have held self-managed super accounts. I think Digital Surge was a good example, even though it looks like they may be going back online in some respects, but they did hold a lot of self-managed super funds on behalf of Australian clients. They got caught up in the FTX exchange saga. So how can you circumvent those types of risks? The most important thing is to have a cold storage wallet where you're not exposed to custody of the exchange. You actually custody the assets yourself. I saw a question as well crop up around exchanges and SMSFs, and can exchanges even hold SMSFs if they actually own the assets? I think it's a good point. I think there are certainly exchanges that allow you to show ownership of that SMSF in your name or in the SMSF's name. And so, I think if there's custody from that exchange, it can still call into question whether that's actually compliant. And I think it goes back to the documentation. Is it clearly documented in the trust deed that this is as part of the holdings plan and the strategy and so on? So definitely important to cover that. The other thing to consider is like how we actually keep records in this. There's a lot on that left column there around record keeping. So you can use software tools. We'll show Koinly kind of screenshots and what that allows you to do. But I also want to kind of call out that blockchain explorer tools are really useful as well. So they allow you to view transactions that are on the public ledger. And so it's kind of a third-party source of information. If you have the transaction ID, you can use that as evidence, and that's something that the ATO call out as well. The ATO also do call out that you are allowed to use reputable software. So I think that's great for some kind of comfort for accountants to know that software is actually helpful in that regard. So we'll move on to the next slide. How can trustees use Koinly? I think it's about taking the legwork around plugging, being able to track all of these transactions, trades across lots of different periods in time and across multiple wallets in some cases. So if you're buying crypto on an exchange and an SMSF is holding that into a wallet, how are you going to keep track of the transfers, market values, pricing, etc.? So plugging those wallets, exchange accounts into Koinly will actually automate that process for you. And it will also apply the relevant tax treatment for CGT, for example, discounted short-term gain, long-term gains or short-term gains, income that arises from any kind of staking rewards or kind of earning-based function as well. And you will also be able to download a report that consolidates everything into one place. So there's some screenshots here. I won't talk at length about this because I think we're going to send a link to a demo where you can book a demo, and also if you quote the webinar, you'll be able to get 30% discount. So definitely check that out. But just want to show some screenshots here on actually how the Koinly user interface works and how to use it. So a user would sign up with their email address. They would add the relevant wallets that they have, and you can see it might be a little bit small on the left there, but you can actually see there's a lot of different wallets that we'd support, and certainly the main ones that people would be using to hold SMSF assets, I would expect Koinly to support. So you would add your wallets, There's two ways to do that. You can auto sync it, which links directly to that wallet or exchange through an API connection. So it allows Koinly to draw down the transactions from the exchange purely on a read-only basis, I should say. So Koinly can't trade or execute any transactions on an individual's behalf. The other way to do it is by uploading an Excel file into Koinly. So I mentioned the importance of exporting those, very, very important there. You can then, once you've linked your wallet, so you might have multiple, you can see a dashboard of the portfolio. And you can also generate reports which are for the relevant periods. So 2021, 22 is shown there. Before you generate the tax report, Koinly will flag if there's any errors. So you can see in the yellow there, there's an example on the left screenshot where it's showing that there's some review needed, and it'll flag, for example, if there's missing purchase history, if it can't work out cost basis, for example, because you haven't plugged in all the wallets for Koinly to see your purchase history, then that will actually flag there. So it does actually have a really intuitive way to kind of try to check that you've got a complete transaction history cycle. The example of the tax reports that you can generate is there on the left. So there's a very, very complete set of reports that you can download. I was talking to Natalia about this yesterday. I think the complete tax report is excellent for kind of auditing and cross-checking and reconciling transactions, because it actually has the full export of all the transactions and all the assets, including summaries of the gains, the losses, income, etc. So I think, and this is just a couple of screenshots actually from the Australian reports. So a capital gains summary there. You've got your total current year capital gains, net capital gains, and you've got income summaries as well. So very, very easy, all in one place. And SMSF accountants are using this as well. So it's good to hear the comments, Natalia, that you mentioned. Okay, so I'll stop there. I think we're going to take some questions. So there should be a little bit of time left for us to do that.
Oh, okay. Danny, do you want to talk about discount?
Yeah, so if you book a demo by the end of the month, you'll get a discount, 30% off. There's a link there. I think, Natalia, perhaps we can send that link around after the webinar. If you quote the webinar, then the team, when they book the demo in, or when you have your demo, will apply that discount for you.
Yeah, so we'll send the recording if whoever was late or couldn't attend, we'll send the recording to everyone who is registered, and also with all the links for discounts and all the links which mentioned in this webinar. So now we're open for questions. So let's see if any questions we have. So, так. Can't see any questions. Most exchanges control, from Simon, so most exchanges control the seed phrase. If the SMSF doesn't have access to the seed phrase, are the coins really owned by the SMSF? It's actually very good question, because I don't know my seed phrase, for example. So, but the ownership, again, with exchanges, the ownership is the name on the account. However, because exchange is, it's basically the exchange is holding your asset. So if exchange, for example, goes down, then obviously you lose the ownership of your assets as well, which is the coins. So the seed phrase doesn't matter in terms of CIS legislation, in terms of SMSF. It's not a confirmation of your ownership. The name on the account and existence at 30th of June is confirmation of their ownership.
I think as well, just Simon, I can see where you're coming from, and it's something that a lot of lawyers in the space are debating. And I think, particularly when we've seen collapses of centralized exchanges, there's a huge debate on legal ownership. And, we've seen some stories come out of the US around Celsius, and despite how it was marketed to users, the terms and conditions stated that the funds actually belonged to Celsius, and so that was the outcome in the courts there. I think in the case of SMSF, the legal ownership is going to be a really important question. It's something that I think will be important on a bespoke basis. It's not something that we've really kind of got clear guidance on as to whether or not the seed phrase control is the kind of factor as to whether you have the ownership or not. Because, by the same token, if you have a legal recourse to that, regardless of the seed phrase being controlled by the exchange, perhaps that's enough from an SMSF perspective. So I think there's still some questions in this space that need to be ironed out. But I think it's a really interesting point. And again, the best way to do that is to self-custody your SMSF crypto without a doubt. So I would reiterate that.
Danny, does it create confusion if there was both the SMSF and personal crypto accounts on Koinly?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it does. I would, if I was an SMSF auditor, and I'm definitely not, so don't listen to me on this, but I'd want to see a clean SMSF account in Koinly. Natalia, I think I don't know if that's what you'd expect as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So if you want to have Koinly account for, like, say for example, if you want to have SMSF and your personal coins, you have to open 2 accounts with 2 different email addresses. So create email address which belongs to SMSF only. And this is actually what I would recommend for any DeFi wallets as well. So for example, if you want to open MetaMask under SMSF name, but you can't open under SMSF name, So create a separate email, say Natalia SMSF@gmail.com. And this is a proof to the auditor that this email belongs to SMSF only. Therefore, all the wallets, all the accounts with, say, Koinly account belongs to SMSF only. Clear separation of ownership.
Yeah, and that's probably more important even than having, the Koinly accounts in SMSF and personal. It's, have you actually separated your assets clearly and defined that in the SMSF name?
Yeah. Steve, again, I think, will Koinly flag or pick up any non-buy sell swap transactions on MetaMask?
Yep. So yes, MetaMask or the other wallets as well. You can also edit transactions and mark them as airdrops, etc. So that's definitely possible. When you actually go through a review, Koinly will actually flag, where it doesn't have the information on, what a specific transaction is. You'll actually have to provide that. And I think as well, just on airdrops, it's interesting because the ATO changed their guidance on this in September last year. So airdrops went from being taxable as income at market value to being non-taxable on receipt, but a capital gain, zero cost basis asset if it was, the first airdrop of its kind. So thanks for raising that, Steve.
Yeah. So from accountant's viewpoint, I have SMSF crypto records in coin tracking. Will it be too confusing to swap to Koinly? So how do you work with swapping from another software, Danny?
Sorry, I'm just looking for the question. But so if I heard it right, it was they were using coin tracking, which is another software, and if they're asking about swapping to Koinly.
Yeah, from coin tracking to Koinly.
Yep. So it's easy. The best way to do it is to just set up a new Koinly account and plug your wallets in. and sync those, use the auto syncs as well. So use the APIs if you can, rather than uploading CSV files. It's generally better because you get the real-time tracking. It'll update things, and it'll also kind of find everything since the beginning of time rather than from when the spreadsheet's dated. So yeah, just sign up to a Koinly account, use the discount, and you'd find that process very, very easy to actually sign up. You just need an email address.
Yeah. All right. If you sell some Bitcoin to buy a good or service, for example, Koinly software, does it constitute a capital gain? Yeah, any swap is capital gain. Anything you buy because you are realizing this coin, so you're technically selling this coin and you're buying the goods or services. So yes, it will be capital gain event anyway.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that's right. Good, regardless of personal use asset exemption as well, because very, very difficult to actually get that exemption when it comes to crypto. Just aware of that. Koinly software costs are generally deductible as well. Obviously helping with your tax preparation, so worth bearing that in mind as well.
Yeah. Koinly, very easy to use, fantastic website. Only you buy depends how many transactions you have. So yeah, in terms of the transactions, what are the difference in fees, Danny?
Yeah, so it's tiered based on the number of transactions that you have. And I know in some cases, clients might have a huge volume of transactions, in which case our support team, our very friendly support team, will kind of get in touch and really help you and work out on a bespoke basis how we price that. But for sure, it's based on kind of a tiered system. So it just depends on how many transactions that you have or your clients have. And actually, I should say, plugging your wallets into Koinly is free. So actually setting up a Koinly account, benefiting from the portfolio tracking features and the kind of dashboard that I showed on the screen, that's completely free. So it's just when you actually come to doing the tax reports where you pay a fee based on the volume of transactions that you have. And interestingly, a lot of people use the software just to track their portfolios as well. So yeah, worth just signing up and checking it out.
Yeah, and play around and see how, what reports you can get, whatever. But anyway, I think we're running out of time, but thank you so much, everyone, for attending today's webinar. Danny, thank you so much for presenting. Really appreciate. And we'll send recording to everyone, also with the links, with your discount links as well. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Again, we will send details for Danny, we'll send details for myself. And if you have any questions, please send us your questions. But thank you very much and have a nice weekend.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And if anyone has questions on Koinly, please do get in touch. Our support teams are very friendly and very, very helpful. So please do reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.